There is a conversation you are not having. You know exactly the one I mean. You've been carrying it for weeks, maybe months, maybe years. It's the conversation you keep editing in your head on the drive home, and then you never have it. Here's what I've learned in 30 years of coaching some of the bravest people I know. That conversation is running your life. I am Mike Lipkin, and in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to give you the essence of what I call courageous conversations. Not theory, not motivation, a discipline, a muscle, a skill that every great person builds and that every relationship in your life is quietly waiting for you to develop. So let me start with the truth. Avoidance is the most expensive thing you will ever buy. The thing you didn't say to your partner becomes the silence at the dinner table. The boundary you didn't set with your relative becomes the resentment you carry for a decade. The feedback you owed a friend becomes the distance you both pretend not to notice. The I love you didn't say becomes the regret you can never take back. Every avoided conversation is a loan you take out against the future of the relationship, and interest compounds. So how do you have these courageous conversations? It starts not with what you say, it starts with what is going on inside you before you say a word. There are 3 switches. Switch 1, your body. Before any conversation that matters, your nervous system is reading the situation as a threat. Your heart rate is up, your breathing shallow, your jaw tight. That's normal. It's also fixable in 60 seconds. Box breathe for 60 seconds. That means inhale deeply for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and exhale for 4 seconds. Drop your shoulders, plant your feet, and say to yourself, I am about to be uncomfortable, and that is the right feeling for this moment. Switch to your story. Between what you observed and what you are about to say, there is a story you have written about the other person. Stories are not facts. Bring the facts into the room and bring the story only as a story. Don't confuse the two. And switch 3, your intent. One question. Is my highest and best intent for this conversation a better outcome for them, for the relationship, and for what we share? If the answer is yes, go. If the answer is anything else, cool down first. Okay, let's look at the simple framework for courageous conversations. I've called it CLEAR. C means center the conversation. One sentence of framing changes the temperature of the room. For example, I want to talk about something on my mind. It matters to me that I get this right, so I will be careful with my words. Or, this isn't easy for me to bring up. I'm bringing it up because I respect you and the work you are doing. Or, I'd like the next 10 minutes to be a real conversation, not a download. Or, this is important. That's why I want to say it as clearly as I can so we are both aligned. The L is lead with the truth, specific, real, brief. 2 sentences and you're done. For example, in the last 2 leadership meetings, you spoke over Priya twice. I want to talk about that. Or you closed 3 of 9 opportunities last quarter against a target of 7. We need a real plan for Q3. Or you've missed our last 3 Monday stand-ups, and when you are there, you are on email. I want to understand what's going on. The E is examine impact. Stop talking, ask, and listen for real. For example, that's helpful. Tell me more. Or what am I missing? Or what's your read on what's happening? Or I hear you, and staying with the original point for a moment, what I observed was. The A is agree on a path forward, specific, owned, and time-stamped. For example, here's what I'm going to commit to, and here's what I'd like you to commit to. What would you add or change? Or let's put a check-in on the calendar for 2 weeks, not to redo this conversation, to see how the new pattern is going. Or if I see the same thing happen again, I want permission to name it in the moment. Is that okay with you? And then R is reaffirm. Reaffirm the relationship. End with the love and respect you feel. Do not skip this step. The conversation is not finished when the message is delivered. It is finished when the other person knows you are still on the same team. Say the hard thing, then make sure they know you said it because you love and respect them, not in spite of it. For example, I told you because I think you can do something with it, and because I'm in your corner. Or, nothing about this changes my belief in you. It is precisely because I believe in you that I am willing to be in this conversation. Or, thank you for staying in this with me. That took something. That is the entire framework. 5 letters. The conversation end to end. Now, here is the truth most of us were never taught. Courage is not a trait, it is a discipline. It is a muscle built by frequent small reps, not occasional heroic ones. The people who become known for their courage and honesty, for being someone you can actually count on to tell you the truth, almost never describe themselves that way. They describe themselves as people who got tired of the cost of avoidance. And here is the most important thing I will say in these few minutes. Start with 1. The next conversation is always the most important one. The rest will follow. So if the conversation you've been carrying is starting to feel heavier than you can hold alone, let me help. I work with individuals, with teams, and with whole organizations. Anyone with the courage to start one conversation differently than they did last time. A keynote, a workshop, a coaching session, a conversation with me. So pick one and let's start the conversation you've been avoiding. I'm Mike Lipkin, and let's talk if you want to say what needs to be said, how it needs to be said, and when it needs to be said.